Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Live Game Dev Beast Armors. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee. And if you've never seen Star Citizen Live or one of our special game dev episodes before, this is where we take about an hour out of our week at the end of a week, hang out with one of our artists or designers or whomever, and go through a little bit about their process. They get to showcase the working process of how they create something specifically for Star Citizen. We are doing that again this week. We are joined today by one person who perhaps needs no introduction, and another person you've only just met for Star Citizen. Let's get to meeting them now before we get going. Jeremiah Chance, welcome to Star Citizen Live. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Don't act like you don't know where the camera is, Jeremiah. You know where the camera is. I like your turn. Hi. So Jay Lee, before we get into it, every show is somebody's first show. So give us the nickel version. Who are you and what do you do for Star Citizen?
I am the resident meme lord of CIG. Also, I am AKA lead concept artist.
Lead concept artist with the character team.
For the correct.
Yeah, although you've dabbled in some spaceships before.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. And then to the right screen, Chance, welcome to your first live show. Welcome to your first Star Citizen Live. Tell everybody who you are and what you do for Star Citizen.
Hey, everybody. I'm Chance Rowe. I'm the character art director, and I'm here to give Jeremiah a bad time today, so it'll be fun.
That's legitimately how I got Chance on the show. It's like, hey, I reached out, I'm like, hey, Chance, we're doing this show with Jeremiah. And he goes, all right. He goes, you want to just hang out for an hour and give him crap? And he's like, and there was no hesitation. You know, those times where you're talking and you get the three little dots and like, oh, I wonder what he's saying. No dots. It was just yes.
Straight up.
So Jeremiah, what are we making today?
So we're going to do a very interesting concept painting today. We'll be designing armors that were made from a survivalist in Pyro that would use parts off of a creature that we've shown before on the creature segment that Chance was in. So this person would be harvesting parts of this creature to protect themselves from the elements. So a Beastman armor?
Kind of? Beast armor.
Beast armor.
Beast armor. The second best version of Transformer armor. All right. And then Chance will be here to, like I said, guide and critique you. We'll of course take some questions from the chat as we go. You can drop questions into the chat by prefacing your question with the word "question" in capital letters, surrounded by brackets. Of course, we will only be doing questions related to the creation of our Beast armor or things roughly relating to character team. Remember, we got two folks from the character team. So if you're asking questions about turrets or flight models or that adorable penguin that has shown up in Alpha 310, these might not be the guys for you. So
maybe I can answer it. They might not be right.
No. You're wrong enough on your own without jumping into other people's things. So why don't you start your screen share, Jeremiah, and we'll get going.
Okay, so as always, every stream, a good concept artist always has reference. So I had to do a lot of thinking, a lot of digging, and I was kind of curious. I was wondering like what type of art I should make, what direction, and so I looked at a lot of like post-apocalyptic stuff that, and also I use a lot of like cosplay stuff because I love cosplayers, the type of craftsmanship that they put in. So the top left, I looked at a lot of post-apocalypse stuff where they put like random stuff together. Like this guy's got like street signs and stuff and some cool like little techie bits here and there. And I really like the usage of these pipes. So I kind of thought I'd incorporate that, especially Pyro being low gravity and also it's hardly breathable. I don't think you can breathe in thing. And so there were some cool like mechanical bits in here. And then also, I don't think I've ever done this before. I started looking at kind of like orc cosplay reenactment type of stuff because they would use like hide and like little bits of stuff that they've hunted and put it on display and stuff like that. So I thought there'd be a lot of cool stuff, especially like this one. And then also looked at like real world references. Like a lot of the Native Americans, they would harvest every part of the animal and put it on their clothing. And also they would use it for a lot of things. So like I thought this was like really cool as well. Let's see. And then I just like these pants. That's why I put it in there. There's that. But then also I looked at a lot of the newer spacesuits that we have, new and old. I think this was for the Artemis, I think, moon landing suit, I think, or was it this one? So there's a little bit of that, and also, of course, are the SpaceX. So I wanted to kind of fuse all these together and see what kind of cool shapes we have. And the creature that we will be harvesting, I guess, is this creature, which is the crab that we've shown earlier. And so we'll be taking parts off of this shape here, and also probably the hard shell, maybe a little bit of the babies as well.
I hate you so much.
The babies are terrifying.
I don't know what you're talking about. They're the favorites. And also this tentacle thing too, what might be really cool to incorporate in some sort of way. So I'll be playing. I honestly, I don't have an actual like direction per se of like how, like where I want to take it. So we'll kind of explore it together, and then we also have Chance here, and also chat, and we can kind of like work it out together. So I have a base plate. I don't want to start off in a white background.
God damn it.
So I got so we got this image right here. So this is our base RSI Odyssey suit, and also this helmet is one of our oh man, I forgot the name of it. It was one of our heavy outlaw armors. I think it's a good place to start. So I quickly did a little filter and paint over on it real quick, and so we'll be designing the armor on top of this. Yeah.
All right. You go ahead and get started. I'm just going to add HR to the call.
Why? Why?
All right. So Chance, as an art director, Jeremiah starts with an idea here. We've got our brief. We've got the basics of our brief. Start exploring the types of armors that can be created using this particular creature. At this point, do you just let Jeremiah go off and be crazy? Is this the time where you offer advice and feedback before he gets started? How does this process work?
Yeah, I mean, usually we do a kickoff meeting and we just start discussing at a high level what our thoughts are on it. Like, as an example, like, would we want to use the little heads off those baby crabs in the thing? And I'm probably not. I mean, we want this thing to look appealing at the end of the day, and I think it just kind of ruined the whole design, honestly. So what I think, we usually talk about is like, what would make sense here? What would we want to stay away from? Just initial direction. But I also don't want to be so prescriptive to be like, this is exactly what we're going to do. And Jeremiah, don't be creative at all. So there's enough to get going, if he has questions, that kind of thing. But then we just get started and hopefully, work out some cool stuff that we're happy with.
Yeah. We've done a number of shows about concepts in the past. It's always an aspect I'm very very interested in because a lot of it is the blue sky time. It's where ideas get thrown through the furnace. You test everything you can. You see what comes out. A concept artist often iterate 10, 15, 20 times, and they do this work so that all of the other artists down the line don't have to. Don't have to. It's to find that blueprint or roadmap for everybody else down the pipeline, and I'm just endlessly fascinated by that.
I'm supposed to talk, right?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just trying to my initial idea is kind of like what shapes can I pull from this creature onto this armor? Like obviously that beak that this thing has is too big to put on any armor, but then they could try to maybe these guys want to replicate a little bit of in respect to the creature. So I might give it a beak. It might be really cool.
Well, it can also be built from a section of the skull of the creature, which may not
Right,
which
right,
may not
right,
actually include that beak, just like how a human skull doesn't have the nose.
right,
As
right,
part of
right.
it, so. Right. As far as the questions that are coming through, the first request that came through almost immediately is whether we can include any of the fangs or the tentacles in the helmet.
Yeah, I mean, we could, but also the biggest thing is like, what would be the purpose of it?
Right.
So that's another thing. So like, the settlers in Pyro, without spoiling too much, like they live in a very harsh environment, and so yeah, they probably would have some flourishes here and there, but I don't think they would I don't think they'd run around like this for no reason,
Right.
right? It would have to serve some sort of function. So we can think about how we can incorporate that. So if we can find a really good excuse on the functionality of it, then yeah. Because thing is, for me personally, if I had free reign to do whatever I want, all right, I would just I would give it like spikes and like he's got like a little whip and a little foxtail.
No. No.
It's the biggest thing is the thing that really sells a cool design is when you hint at functionality, and coming up with new ideas from that.
Now you're starting with the helmet here. Is when you do these things, do you always start with the helmet, or is that just in this case something that kind of jumped out at you?
No, I normally start with the helmet, and the reason why is because we as a species we communicate by looking at the eyes and the face, and so when you talk to somebody or when you see somebody first, you don't look at their feet or their hands first.
Right.
Most of the time, you look at their face because that's how you identify people. And helmets is the same thing. If you're wearing glasses or something, your eyes will go there first, and then your brain will swap to whatever it's interested in next. And so, for me, when I concept something, the helmet is always the most important thing, and then I try to have the armor or everything below follow through afterwards, unless there's a specific lore reason or design reason for something else to be more important.
Right. Now we don't actually have a designer with us on the show today, so as far as gameplay implications, we can't really talk. There are some questions in there about whether beast armor might give any perks over other armors and stuff. That would be the purview of the active feature team.
Well, Chance and I can talk about what we would like.
Sure.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we were discussing is, if we get creatures like this, in the game, and there's this, there's this high risk to, say, fighting one of these things, there needs to also be a high reward for if you are successful. And so that's something we're just in discussion about, is like, well, maybe, for example, the shell is a craftable resource and you could do something with it, or maybe it's also quite valuable and you could trade this for other things. The plan for Pyro is that it's a very harsh environment, a lot of radiation, all kinds of solar storms, and so maybe this hardened shell is something that would protect you from those kind of elements and stuff like that. So all of it's still TBD, but it's just those are the discussions that we're having right now about what from a gameplay perspective what makes sense. And so yeah, maybe this armor, if you get this stuff, you've got better radiation resistance or something else like that. So
I'm thinking about an old movie from the 80s called Enemy Mine right now, where Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid used to take these indigenous sand beetle things and then use them they built a house out of them, they built armor out of them. It was one of the primary resources available to them on an otherwise barren and desolate world. So they found as many uses for them as they could.
Yep.
Can we talk about how beautiful this crab is and what we were thinking about it?
Sure. Why don't you talk to us about how did we did a little bit on ISC, but not everybody watches everything. Talk to us about how we got to this crab, Chance.
Yeah. So we started off first of all with the location. We knew that it was going to be Pyro 1 in this case, and that helped us. With a lot of things and just deciding like what would make sense on a planet like this. The discussions that we had is like, well, is this, did this animal develop naturally, or was this, something that was seeded on the planet? And in this case, it is. It's supposed to be naturally occurring on this planet, and it's evolved, with these conditions in mind. We knew we wanted a predator, so this thing lives off of hunting other prey that's on this planet, or maybe also humans in this case. And then the other part that we decided upon was the large one you see in the image is the queen of basically a hive that she's got all these little babies that also are there, and possibly these creatures use the cave systems to lay their eggs in, and that's what why you find these clusters of the little ones inside the caves. So, and then we also discussed other things like how does this thing, if it's on the surface, what does it do, and how would you might come across it? And so we've talked about these things actually use camouflage with the rocks around them. So when they're all hunkered down, they might look exactly like a pile of those rocks, and you might not even know that it's there. So definitely the few things that helped us make some decisions with what we wanted to do with it. But we still have lots of other things to work out as to like what other creatures might exist on these planets and stuff. Like what like for example, what are the prey animals this thing eats? We haven't got to that point yet. So.
Parts of it look like parts of it look like they glow. Is there a bioluminescence factor here?
Yes, yeah, the bioluminescence factor definitely we want to try that out. And we've also talked about as an example that the little ones, they're more like a soft shell sort of crustacean, so that like this only happens that they get this really thick hardened type of shell over time, and this also would, if that's the way we go, this also would play into the gameplay aspect of it. In other words, you could go shoot a whole cluster of the little ones. You're not going to get any, any resources off of them the same way you would if you do the more difficult task of fighting one of the queens, right? So there's the reward is not there for the little ones as much.
So because the little ones are more vulnerable, they rely on their obvious attractiveness, as seen in Jaylee's picture there, as a defense mechanism. Like, why would you kill me? Look at how attractive I am.
Don't hurt me. I'm just a little baby. Okay, sorry.
You never. There are times where you immediately regret opening your mouth.
No,
They're
never.
rare, but they happen.
No, not me.
I wondered, Jeremiah, maybe a little more asymmetry in the design would be kind of cool, since it's all found.
Oh yeah,
objects,
yeah.
right? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it's not manufactured, but.
What if they want to look cool? I'm just kidding.
Asymmetry
no, I agree.
is cool.
Yeah, it's true. I'm trying to see. Yeah, they've got like little like spikes here too. I think I should incorporate a little bit more of that on the carapace stuff. Do they need, like, maybe they took one part? Yeah.
Like one big pauldron.
Yeah. I'm thinking also, like, maybe like they might have bolted some things, but maybe they also put like strapped some things together. Yeah. So that'll probably.
Yeah, I think they'd have to, if they cut these shells off, they'd have to then modify them, hooking some sort of like straps to them and other things to fasten them and stuff. So
yeah.
There's no guarantee each part of each shell comes off in the same
the
same even pieces every time.
Yeah, exactly.
So a very bespoke look. Now, granted, if you add anything to an MMO, even the most bespoke items, you're gonna see multiples of them running around. But that's just one of the unfortunate side effects of running an MMO. It's still during a design, though, you're still encouraged by the origin and idea, which is a completely individualized, look.
Yeah, I'm actually.
I was thinking at this point, the only thing that we've shown publicly, as far as the denizens of the Pyro system, were the Overlord armors that were provided to subscribers in the last couple months, based on the Overlord Vigilante gang that the lore team developed for Pyro. A very rough and tumble look.
I mean, this is cool and all, but it's kind of boring.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, I think we can push it a little bit.
Right. So, Chance, at this point, what's Jeremiah doing wrong?
Everything.
Everything.
I'm taking notes. It's going into review. Yeah.
No.
All annual review.
You have found the bane of my existence, Jared. I shall repay it in double fold one day. I shall get you.
I'm pretty sure if we're keeping score, you're at like 48 and I'm at like 3. So.
I mean, you're not wrong. Okay. Now I think what I could, I got some general shapes in here. I'm thinking maybe if I can just push the envelope a little bit, maybe I'll add. Now the silhouette, like it's very similar to this, so like I kind of want to push it even more. The cheap route is just to add pipes everywhere. Which is.
Let's see.
But,
we're seeing a lot of questions about a cape. Seems folks want the tentacles as a cape, or to form some kind of cape.
Capes, dude, I've done so many capes.
I know. Not everything needs a cape, although capes are cool.
I mean, capes always make things look super majestic, and like really badass. I can say badass, right? Yeah, I say yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that is one way to do it, and that'll also make it look asymmetrical too.
Yeah. What if it's less a cape and just like two of those largest tentacle things just draped back and glowing from behind or something.
Mm-hmm.
Chat also asks if this would be easier to do in ZBrush instead of Photoshop.
It depends. For me, when I concept, when I'm doing like a bunch of like what do you call it, blue sky stuff where I have no idea what it is, Photoshop is the fastest and most efficient tool to do these things, just because how quickly I can change things. For ZBrush, it's as much as I love the program, and I do, you're a lot slower in making variations, right? Because like sculpting something like this could potentially take maybe 5 minutes when I can just do it in 3 seconds on Photoshop. But Photoshop is just about getting the initial feel and the idea of the said asset. So it's like it depends. If I know for sure that Chance will like something, and maybe Chance has seen like a sketch, like a napkin sketch of something, then yeah, I might jump into ZBrush and just like refine the heck out of it.
Right. One of the things I've discovered through the 6 years here at CIG now is that we're very accommodating as far as letting the artists work in the tools that work best for them. We have an entire tools team dedicated that's separated across several studios, dedicated to building all the different converters and importers and stuff necessary to let artists work in the things that allow them to be most effective, and then bring that in. So
yeah, and also for a concept artist, like there's never like one method to solve a problem. Like I think I've said that multiple times. Like concept artists are problem solvers, and for me,
that has not been my experience.
Well, they're supposed to be.
Sorry, continue.
Doesn't mean I do it well, but
continue.
but like I have the most respect for concept artists, and a lot of the guys in the studio, they approach where they'll ask me how long they have, and they'll try to solve the problem, and they'll pick whichever program or workflow is the most efficient to get the job done. Because if you're like, hey, I only do ZBrush, I'm gonna be like, hey, I need 10 of these sketches by 6 p.m. You know, they're gonna struggle a little bit, right? Because they might not have enough time. Or I might be like, hey, I need you to figure out the anatomy of this thing, but I need you to be very specific, right? Or like maybe a specific like a character modeler needs more context of what something is. Maybe you do it in Photoshop, maybe you do it in ZBrush, maybe you actually sculpt on top of their mesh just to help them out. So like it really depends. There never is like one method of doing concept, because it's just ideas at the end of the day. I kind of like the little.
Yeah.
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 I think replicating some of that would be really cool in here.
I mean, it's good enough for the armor for the animal to cover its bottom side.
Yes.
Yeah, I think also we could look at like what other items would this type of person find to modify their armor, right? Because I figure like if they're a scavenger of these beast parts, like what other things are they scavenging from? Other humans, other things like that. Like I think that stuff would be cool to think about.
I'm also thinking like these guys would be like going around collecting stuff, so they probably would have a backpack of some sorts.
Yep.
Just to collect stuff, and probably a lot of pouches here and there.
Right. There's a survivalist mentality of dressing like one of the alpha predators to scare away other creatures and lesser creatures while you're out there collecting, foraging, doing stuff. So there can be a gameplay used to wearing this armor more than just looking cool. It's like they're dressing like the alpha predator to scare lesser predators away.
Okay, let's see. I think this is like good enough just for like a sketch, and then we can kind of like pick our favorite one, kind of like how we did our last.
Sure.
Our last session. That way, because I could just start rendering this, but I think what's more important is just coming up with some cool shapes or some ideas. Okay. So I just move on to the next one.
There have been, if you want to take any requests from the community here, there are a lot of folks asking for a shield.
Okay. A shield?
Yeah, like take the like imagine the plate that's there on one of its knees. Taken off wholesale is like a shield.
Like that?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Sure. Chance, you cool with that?
It's a little big.
Yeah, it can be smaller and be like
we'll shave it off.
like Captain America's thing from Infinity War, where it was just a much smaller kind of thing that sat on the.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool if you actually saw a little bit of the hands. That way you can actually grab stuff.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. It's a little too saturated for me right now. Okay, that's cool. And I'm thinking maybe this one, maybe we don't need to necessarily. Maybe we could do something like that. Because this is kind of, wait, they're circular eyes, right?
Now this color palette you've chosen, the blues and the grays. You took this from the concept art.
No. So this was just from the base undersuit. I don't necessarily choose the color just yet because I'm just looking at shapes and like silhouette. And so what I'll normally do is after I have a couple shapes that I want, then I'll color them in what I think is most appropriate. It looks kind of derpy.
Yeah.
So, Chance, we haven't had much opportunity to get to know you on streams and videos yet. How did you get started in the business? Where did you come from? You know, you don't need to share your whole life story or whatever, but whatever you're comfortable sharing with folks. Like what can you tell us so folks get a better sense of who you are?
Yeah, sure. I actually have my degree in illustration. I originally, when I was in high school, I was very into comics and actually was interested in becoming a comic book artist. And it was actually when I was in art school that I learned a little more about games. You have to remember this is in the 90s when when video game careers are not exactly a thing that schools were teaching.
Yeah.
So, but I ended up, I've been playing games my whole life and was like, oh, this is actually seems even better. Taught myself 3D and I got my start in the industry in 1997. But most of my career has been in characters. I've done vehicles, worked on quite a few different companies and games. Yeah, I've worked at EA, worked at Riot Games for a long time, yeah, it's definitely love the industry. We're all pretty privileged to be able to be involved in something where it's a passion at the end of the day, and I think that's something that not everyone gets opportunities to. So yeah, definitely grateful that it's something that I'm a part of.
So you've been in the game industry since 1997.
23 years.
Wow.
Yeah, been a while. How old were you, Jeremiah?
I think you were. I think I was 8.
Yeah. No, when Chance first started, I immediately reached out because I'm like, somebody my own age, somebody my age. I think one of the first things we bonded over was G.I. Joe and the Defiant versus the Flag, if I remember correctly.
This is true. Yeah, it was a very very upsetting Christmas when the neighbor kid got the USS Flag and I didn't get it. Was like, I remember the catalog. It's a 6-foot-long aircraft carrier, and I'm like, oh, all of my dreams right here. And then I didn't get it. And then that neighbor kid, I was jealous, so jealous of that.
Yeah. My similar thing was mowing lawns and doing chores and making sure everything was good for 6 months. You're gonna give me the Challenger? You're gonna give me the Defiant? You're gonna get the Defiant, and then ended up getting the Crusader, which is just the tiny spaceship part and not the booster and the launch complex. And I'm like,
oh, it's tragic.
I'm like, Mom, what is this garbage? What is this garbage?
Dreams. Yeah,
just crushed.
That was my my thing too. Was mowing the lawns, and I think I'd get $5 for mowing the lawn, and that was perfect amount to go buy a figure, G.I. Joe figure. So yeah, yes, it's true.
And now I'm in my 40s, and I still trying to get my
same thing.
Yeah, still doing the same thing.
Still mowing lawns.
Yeah, still mowing lawns. Actually, as I think about it, there are a number of similarities I could go off on about what I do and going around mowing people's lawns. All right, so first thing we notice here, Jeremiah, is you've got the tentacles off the back of the helmet, which folks seem to be responding well to in the chat.
Yeah,
just got a little bit of a.
Molly, who's in the chat with me. Molly's our community manager out of the
I remember Molly
Austin studio. She's helping go through the chats. She just commented, "I was 2 when he started in the game industry." And I don't know if she meant that for public consumption, and if you didn't, Molly, I apologize. But it just made me feel very old. So.
Yeah, video games looked a little bit different in 1997. weren't quite pushing the fidelity we're pushing in Star Citizen.
So yes, everybody.
What was your first game that you worked on, actually?
It was the title that never shipped. Actually, I was at Cave Dog Entertainment, so the first company I worked at, and for the first 2 years, both projects I worked on were canceled. So
Oh,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a.
yeah, that happens
It happens.
quite often, actually.
It does.
More than what people do.
Yes, everybody in the chat, if you haven't already, say hi to Molly. She's on the line today, doing good work. Question about process, Jeremiah. What hardware are you working on right now? Are you on a tablet? You on a Clintec? You're on a Wacom? What are you using?
I'm
right now?
on a Wacom tablet right now at home. I actually was exclusively only using the tablet, but then a lot of the character artists use Cintiqs in the office, and so I converted, and I miss it very much. 'Cause I don't have a Cintiq at home, but it's also like it's just a lot of space, and so I like the compact tablet.
Well,
But at the office, I use the Cintiq.
Well, pick a day and time. I'll go in with you. I'll distract Dennis, and you run out with the Clintec.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
You need to get
Cintiq.
How is it said?
Cintiq.
Cintiq?
Yeah.
Sounds like a hair conditioner.
We're never gonna get sponsored by Cintiq now.
Yeah.
I love you. I love you. I love you guys. Wacom. I'm always down to test Cintiqs, man. Is this how it works? Is this how it works?
I don't know if that's how it works.
Don't ask
Oh.
me.
All right.
The only thing close to a sponsorship I ever got was I got sent a care package from Whataburger for mentioning him on Reverse the Verse once, way back in the
Oh,
day.
and also the DX Racer, right?
I got a DX Racer
Yeah,
share,
yeah.
and I got a care package from Whataburger, which is the hoodie that I just realized I'm actually wearing the shirt
Oh,
right
you're
now.
actually
that they
wearing the
sent.
shirt,
I'm
yeah.
actually wearing I'm wearing the Whataburger spicy ketchup shirt that Whataburger sent me unrequested when I raved about them on Reverse the Verse back in 2015.
You know who I'm sponsored by?
Who are you sponsored by?
Brando, the thirst meter.
CIG. Sorry.
I appreciated your reference, a chance.
All right, good.
So, question for Chance from the chat here. How do we balance pure functionality with the rule of cool? What is there a formula? Is it always like we're shooting for 70-30? What are your thoughts on balancing functionality and rule of cool?
So in regards to this armor design, or just in
general? In general.
Well, I mean, there are limitations that we have to abide by. I mean, every project is different. For us, for most of our assets, for the clothing for the people, it needs to be modular, so you can mix and match the pieces. And so we do have volumes and zones that we have to abide by if it is swappable pieces. So in that regard, like some of the things even we're doing here might not play by those rules. So that is that's something to consider. But at the end of as far as the cool factor, at the end of the day, if we're not excited about it, then it's we're not going to do it. I think that's the kind of the balance you have to take. And as far as like the what I think is important for Star Citizen is the immersion, the realism. If it's too fantastical to the point of just being like silly and outrageous, it's not going to fit with like what everything else is. We made a but that's in every project you're on. That's going to be a different balance that you have to take. Where like for example. We're not going to create something that doesn't fit into lore, right? We're not just going to plug something in and it's not going to, there has to be a backstory. There has to be a reason why, even no matter what it is, it has to be a backstory. Not every game is like that, right? Like, right. You don't have to, some games it's just like, well, like fighting games. Why is that person fighting this person? Aren't they friends? It's like, that's it's just like, who cares? It's it's Smash Brothers. I want to go play that game, right? So I think that we that's the kind of the things that we have to consider, but there's many considerations, and part of our job is to work with all the other teams, whether and make sure that design and lore and everything, we're making something that fits in with all that. And then from the technical side, can we do it?
Gotcha. A lot of folks. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of folks. One of the questions that came through was, how do folks? How did you get started as a concept artist? And what kind of things are you looking for when you're hiring a concept artist?
Well, for me personally, it's well, obviously the style definitely helps, because Star Citizen, we've been, well, at least I've been in CIG for like almost, I think, a little over 5 years now, and so I helped kind of establish, at least on the character front, the style and the look, and as long as the candidates, as long as Chance and I are confident that the people who want to join the Star Citizen team can execute in that specific look and style, then that's kind of like where we like to start the conversation of potentially working with us, because there is a specific look, right? And like, as much as I love like the Disney and the animation style, I think some paintings that people do are gorgeous and are super inspiring. That might not that probably won't translate well with the realistic look, sci-fi look that we have for Star Citizen. So there's that. But also it's the second thing is, for the thing that I look out for is when concept artists, when they do art, when they work in their portfolio, is how far did they think into the functionality of their design? Is it just cool, or did they actually think about like the little details? And concept artists, they have to be, in a weird way, great storytellers, because you're telling a story through whatever your character or the scene you're trying to paint. Right? Yeah. So those are little things that I look out for when I look at a portfolio and stuff like that.
You have, on the left side of the screen, you've got your inspirations, right? How important is it to have that stuff that's on the left of your screen right now?
Really good. I never just paint like this. I don't. The reason why is because if I just stay like this, I'll start making shapes that only I make out of habit. So things will start to be 45-degree angle. And also, like, because there's a lot of shapes that I tend to make. That's kind of like what my style is, and forms. But then the reference board here will inspire me to make different shapes. Like, for instance, like this shape right here, I was looking at this pauldron, right? I was like, oh, that's actually a really cool thing to implement here. And what can I do to change things up a bit on what I would normally do? So, like, it's yeah, when I see a concept artist without a reference board, it makes me a little nervous, because it also means that, you know, like having a reference board it's just good to have for inspiration. And also, I try not to have concept art or like illustrations as a reference, just because sometimes like they can be a little too whimsical, but photos are actual real
right.
world.
Yeah.
Right. So like these are actually crafted.
The stuff on the left is the truth.
Yeah, exactly. So I could use that. So it's at least like whatever I'm drawing is based on reality. So like, yeah.
No, definitely the stuff on the left is reality. Can't argue with that.
That's my biggest inspiration. Anyways, I kind of want to incorporate more of the post-apocalyptic steampunky stuff in here. I'm thinking maybe.
I think that might be cool, Jim. I was like thinking about like what you know, if they came a lot across like derelicts or other things that, right, like, so, you know, that how long have these guys been surviving in this very harsh world, and
right.
That kind of thing, that the storytelling elements of like, I think that would be nice stuff to put in there, where, you know, there's maybe very little of the original undersuit that's, you know, not been modified over time, because it's like if something breaks and you don't have like you can't just buy a new one. You have to keep that thing going, you know. So if he's stuck in this system for years and years and years, what would it look like? One thing, Jared, you was asked in the last question about like what we look for in concept artists. I can speak to that a little bit. One of the things that I, you know, when I went to GDC and given reviewed portfolios and stuff that I have mentioned is I think too often concept art gets confused with illustration.
Oh yeah,
and this is a really important thing. Is that making beautiful illustrations, that's one thing, and you know, but concept art is about the ideas, right? And what I love to see in a portfolio is show me all the steps that, you know, from the first round to the thing getting created, right? And that is really helps me know, you know, how this person is as far as like just coming up with cool ideas, right? And I think like, you know, versus like you found reference and you painted, you did a pretty painting, you did a pretty illustration. That's not concept art. Concept art is coming up with all of the great ideas, and then, as to Jeremiah's point, you know, what's the thought behind them? How would they work? How would they, you know, that's really, really important. You know, like if I see a sketchbook or portfolio where, you know, you see tons of really different and cool ideas, you know, all around towards finalizing the concept, that shows me that person's gonna have a lot of you know, value when you really ask them to like, hey, come up with something cool. You know, I mean, you know, many times, you know, if you have a concept artist working on something, I love it when I'm pleasantly surprised by something that, oh man, I wasn't even expecting that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, let's go down this thing, right? So
yeah, it's one of those things. Jeremiah, just as a thing, you've got about 15 minutes left if you want to. If you wanted to get a third one in there, just it's entirely up to you. Just letting you know.
I keep forgetting it's 1 hour.
Yep. But yeah, one of the things that often comes up whenever we show concept art, and this is not unique to Cloud Imperium and Star Citizen, it's concept art for anything. It's that a lot of times, you know, concept artists are asked to realize an idea that's in somebody else's head as much as they are go crazy and inspire us to other ideas.
Yeah.
So, you know, so a lot of times, you know, that's what we call that blue sky stuff. It's like we don't know what we want to do as far as, like, if it's a movie, like, we're still exploring ideas for stories. You know, maybe we'll go this way, maybe we'll go in this direction, and they'll have concept artists just explore ideas visually to say, like, oh, that would be cool. And as a good scene can inspire a good story in that regards. So it's like whenever you get the Art of Star Wars books, you know, you see a lot of stuff that has no parallel in any of the movies that you see. It's like, what is this? What is it? Like, we never saw anything remotely like this in the movie. And that's usually from those blue sky times where they're just exploring and trying to inspire the writers and the producers and stuff like that to stuff. But
you know what? I'm going to do a crazy one because I don't have time.
Do it. But a lot of times when we show concept art for, you know, Star Citizen, it's like, yeah, lots of times, yes, it's something that's actively being worked on and may actually go into production. And other times, it's one of those blue sky things that never got past the drawing. Mm-hmm. You know, so
that Origin video that you filmed, Jared, is actually, like, I feel like the most accurate portrayal of what being a concept artist is like. Like, I think we showed probably upwards up to like 40 or 50 concept paintings that just never saw the light of day, and they never will.
Yep.
It's just, concept artists sometimes, like, you know, they're like, hey, we just need something, figure it out, and then we have to. That's
what I was saying at the beginning. Like, the concept artists tank. You know, they tank all of the. I'm trying to think of the right word. It's not indecisiveness. That's not the right word. That's not the right word. It's all of the exploration. It's all of the discovery. They tank discovery for everybody else, so that everybody else, you know, has a much more solid idea of what it is that they're building and working on. It's like, because it would be terrible. It's a lot easier to change a Photoshop than it is to change a fully realized 3D model of armor or ship. So you take a lot of the challenges during game development. And while not specifically with Jeremiah, I appreciate that from everybody else.
I don't know. Actually, I talked to my mom about the concept life, and she was like, "Why do you like your job?" Jeremiah? I'm like, "I love my job." It's like, "But I saw your video, and so many of your art didn't get approved." And I was like, "Yeah, this is part of the process, Mom." It's like, do you like being told that you're doing a bad job? I'm like, "No, Mom, that's not what they're saying." It's like, "Then why do you?" Dude, she still doesn't get it.
Yep.
She still.
Yeah. Concept. I think we had it in the segment. Concept artists hear no far more than they hear yes.
Yeah.
But it's not any reflection on the quality
actually,
of the work.
do you know what I hear the most? Actually, it's not no. It's kind of like, I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of, yeah, kind of.
Is that really
sure.
Is that it?
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Yeah,
that's probably the sound I hear the most. You know what? I'm painting. Stop me from putting on loincloths.
What part of the creature is the loincloth made from?
Hey, you know what? Maybe it's from. Maybe he got it from.
It's woven from the tentacles.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking. From the definitely not because I just wanted to put something there to break the silhouette.
I was just trying to describe concept art in one word.
It's true.
It is so accurate. So
Chance,
accurate.
I'm sure you've gotten a lot of that too. Like just like, hey, what do you think?
The worst is silence.
Yes,
that's the worst.
That's the worst.
That is the worst.
And then you're like, okay, well, maybe they're not super into it. But the worst is pure silence. That's the worst.
Yeah, we talked about that with Gavin Rothery, a vehicle concept artist, last week. That when you're making art, you want a reaction. I mean, yeah, you pull for a positive reaction, but even a negative reaction means that you were pushing things. It may have gone in a direction you ultimately didn't want, but sometimes it's really important during the concept phase to figure out what you don't want just as much as it is to figure out what you do want.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The worst thing is to show somebody something and they just and it's like they just go back to their phone. It's just like, oh wow, this didn't get anything out of you. Oh, that's where art fails.
I mean, also though, a responsible concept artist will try to draw notes from their clients or who their boss, right? Mm-hmm. So, like for instance, if Chance was like, "Hey Jeremiah, I don't like that," a good concept artist will be like, as a problem solver, will be like, "Okay, what do you not like about this?" Right? Or being like, or were you thinking about something else? Or, you know what I mean? Instead of just sitting there and just being like, back to the drawing board. You need some sort of direction. That way, at least the time you spent on said thing is not a waste of time.
Mm.
Yeah, that's very true. I think, learning how to translate feedback is, I think, one of the most important things. Because sometimes, the worst thing you can do is like, oh, they hated it, throw it out completely. I'm going to do this, and I think that's really just translating what they're after, what the feedback you're getting. I think that's really a key skill to have.
Yeah, that's stuff that people don't tell you in art school too. Is kind of like, actually like how to receive feedback, and also how to remove yourself from your art pieces. Because you're not making you're not Van Gogh or Rembrandt, right? You're trying to solve a problem for a client or your boss, and so it's not about you or your feelings. It's about solving the problem.
Right.
Things they don't tell you in art school.
Yeah, they don't.
Segment on that.
Yeah. Everything's gotta be butterflies. No, they're wrong.
The amount of time spent pulling ideas out of somebody else's head is not to be glossed over lightly. and it's one of the more impressive aspects of concept artists. I mean, obviously, a successful art director is somebody that can effectively communicate these things, but there's also the factor of a successful concept artist is being able to interpret feedback, recognize what's applicable, figure out the things said and unsaid, and so like that, and work with that. It's all things that probably aren't taught in art school and require just experience.
By the way, Chance, this is a bazooka.
Yeah, I figured as much.
There has been a time where I added like I forgot which concept it was. But I just drew a random weapon on a character, and that got Chris really stoked. He was like, "Oh yeah, we should put that in the game." And I was like, I just could feel the eyes of like, you just added more work, Jeremiah. Just why don't you stay in your lane, stick to character? Like, I just wanted to do something cool. But hi Ben, sorry.
It's a very nice bazooka.
And dude, I always like warm up like towards the end of the stream. Like it's so annoying.
You're saying they should be 2 hours, Jeremiah? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
I'm kind of hungry, but I didn't eat lunch yet. I'm starving. I said I was going to do something crazy, and it's not crazy. It's probably the least crazy. Do I actually want the loincloth? I don't think I want it anymore.
I liked it.
You liked it? All right,
Yeah.
well, you're my boss, so I'll keep
Something
it.
different.
One of the questions from the chat says, I noticed that you use the eyedropper a lot. Do you prefer that to the dodge and burn for shadows?
Yes. The reason why dodge and burn is I recommend people not using that until they're at the very end of their rendering. Because dodge and burn will take the saturation and the what do you call this? The saturation and the value of what's underneath, and will crank it up so you could potentially quote unquote burn your image, and it won't be salvageable if you do it too much. But the eyedropper also, like, it keeps me within, I'm only using colors and values that are within this painting, so I know it won't be too dark or too bright when I paint something on top of it. So I'm just
Was that just a cover because you never discovered the dodge and burn tool until like a year ago?
You know me so well. Exposed. Jaylee exposed.
So if you had to... That's interesting.
Yeah, I think maybe he was strapping things on with string or something.
That's cool.
All right. So we've only got a couple minutes left, so why don't we take a look at all three?
And that looks terrible.
Present these three to your art director now. How would you present these to Chance?
Well,
what were your thoughts here?
Wait. Before this is a neat trick. I'll share my little industry secret. So I'll obviously number something, and if you have a favorite, right? So my second one's kind of my favorite. What I actually tend to do is I'll actually, in secret, they don't teach you this in school. I'll add a little bit of this kind of. It's barely noticeable, but it's there.
Just make it a little brighter, a little more attractive to the eye.
Just darken some of the things I don't really want people to see. Hey, what do you think?
I'm wise to your tricks, Jeremiah.
Did you know he did that, Chance?
Yes, I've not that Jeremiah does it, but yes, I know the technique.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we looking at here? How would you describe number 1? How would you describe number 2? How would you describe number 3?
So number 1, honestly, if this were like a real, if I had to show Chance something, the professional side of me would actually do this.
Okay.
That's what I would do. Because I'm not confident with number 1. I'm trying to warm up, and the ideas are kind of there, but it's kind of a little bit of mess all over the place. So for me, I personally would do something like this. I wouldn't even include it. And if Chance asked me, like, do you have more? I'd be like, well, I started on this one, but I'm not confident in it, right? And so, like, number 1, I think we have a little bit more of the alien shape. So I added a little bit of, like, maybe use some of the toes and stuff like that, or the claws off of a creature. We got that shield thing on here. You got a little bit of the tentacle element here. This one, I guess I took more of the survivalist route, where the creature's not that accented on. It's not prominent on here, but the survivalist element is prominent on here with a little bit of string and stuff like that. And then we can add at least on the texture face, add a little bit more, like bumps, and show more of this type of stuff on here if I had more time.
Yeah, looking at it, I would say 3 is like Klingon warrior. 2 is Weapon X Captain America, and 1 is Plo Koon from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, but honestly though, like 1, I think if I pushed it, maybe if I spent like 30 more minutes on it, I can probably salvage it. But if I was on a tight deadline, I'd probably just like remove it.
Yeah, and the reality is, I think, like, we obviously need more time to to truly work on these things. And this is not something that we've done a bunch of before, and I think that's we will spend more time and work through. I think the idea is cool. We'll just get something that's we'll give it the proper time.
You mean cranking out 3 concepts in less than an hour isn't the norm?
Depends.
Well, depends.
All right. You can go ahead.
Actually, the RSI Explorer suit, the white one, that one I did in 45 minutes. That was just one sketch. I remember it was like the Wild West days, like 4 years ago. And they're like, a character artist needs a concept now. So I did it in 45 minutes, and I passed it off, and they were like, all right, we'll work with what we got. And it became a thing. That has happened before.
I have worked on projects where I just had to model a creature and had no concept whatsoever. So you never know. There's a lot.
You can stop your screen share, Jeremiah.
Mm.
All right. So thank you to Jeremiah and to Chance for taking your time to be here on the show with us this week. Chance, I hope you enjoyed your first foray into live broadcasts for CIG. I promise it probably won't be the last.
That's fine. That was fun.
As we are wont to do, we're going to throw the host the raid over to a Star Citizen streamer who is streaming right now. I understand today's recipient of the Star Citizen Live Jeremiah Lee Memorial Raid is Cyborg Angel. Yes, I'm sorry, Jeremiah. You don't have long to live. I don't memorial. Cyborg Angel. Cyborg Angel is a British streamer. She's relatively new to the Star Citizen scene, but we're gonna like shake it up. Some old timers, some new timers. I understand that she's on PTU with Alpha 310 right now. So when you go and you see her, just tell her rip Jeremiah. And
Rip Jeremiah.
Rip Jeremiah. He was a lovely person. Just pay respects to Jeremiah Lee. For Star Citizen Live, I'm Jared. That was Chance. That's Jeremiah. And we'll see you back here next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.